Questions. My dear friends, let me start with a simple question. Have you ever noticed that when someone hurts you, the first reaction is not wisdom, it is WhatsApp status? Suddenly you become a poet. Suddenly, questions. You discover sad songs you never knew existed. We think pain needs an audience. But today I want to tell you something very powerful. The real strength is not in showing how much you are hurt. Questions. The real strength is in becoming so peaceful, so powerful, so evolved that the person who hurt you doesn't recognize you anymore. That is what I mean by confuse him like this. You see, in life, questions, people expect reactions. If they shout, they expect you to shout. If they ignore, they expect you to beg. If they hurt, they expect you to break. But when you don't follow the script, questions, when you rise instead of react, that is when confusion begins. Let me tell you a small story. Once, a student went to his teacher and said, someone insulted me in front of everyone. Questions. What should I do? The teacher smiled and said, if someone sends you a gift and you don't accept it, who does it belong to? The student said, questions, to the person who sent it. The teacher said, exactly. Don't accept the gift of their negativity. My friends, when someone hurts you, they are handing you a gift. The gift of pain. Questions, the gift of anger, the gift of self-doubt. You don't have to accept it. Now, let me tell you the secret. The best way to confuse someone who hurts you is not by becoming colder. Questions, it is by becoming wiser. First, choose silence over drama. Silence is not weakness. Silence is a pause where your power is charging. When you don't explain, don't justify. Questions. Don't fight. People start wondering, what is going on inside this person? Second, choose growth over revenge. Revenge keeps you connected to the person who hurt you. Questions. Growth sets you free from them. And nothing confuses a person more than seeing you happy without them. Third, don't try to prove your worth. Your worth is not a court case. Questions. You don't need witnesses, evidence, and arguments. Your life itself should become the proof. Let me tell you something very honest. Sometimes people hurt you not because you are weak. Questions, but because they are uncomfortable with your strength. So instead of shrinking, expand. Instead of questioning yourself, improve yourself. Instead of chasing closure, create a new chapter. Questions. There is a beautiful line I love. Don't let someone who couldn't see your value become the reason you forget it. Now here is where the real confusion happens. Be kind, but be unavailable. Questions. Be calm, but be firm. Be loving, but be dumb. Questions. When someone expects tears and you give them peace. When someone expects anger and you give them growth. When someone expects you to fall and you rise, that moment, my friends, is unforgettable. Questions. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine two people break up. One keeps posting sad quotes, late night messages, emotional calls. The other starts focusing on health, career, peace, and purpose. Questions. 6 months later, who do you think is being remembered? Not the one who begged, the one who became better. Because success is not just the best revenge, it is the best confusion. Finally, questions. Remember this. You don't confuse someone by playing games. You confuse them by becoming someone they can no longer control. So walk with dignity, speak with kindness, grow with consistency. Questions. And glow with self-respect, because the day they look at you and think, wow, I don't recognize this person anymore, that is the day you win. Thank you. Stay strong, stay gentle. Questions. And most importantly, stay true to yourself. Because the most powerful response to hurt is becoming whole. Questions. Let me tell you something we all experience in daily life. Something so simple yet so powerful. Imagine you are standing in a long line at a grocery store. You are tired, hungry. Questions. And your phone battery is at 5%. Suddenly someone cuts in front of you. In that moment, what happens inside you? Your heart beats faster. Questions. Your mind starts preparing a speech you never rehearsed. Your face becomes a courtroom. and your thoughts become lawyers fighting for justice. That, my friends, is a reaction. It is instant. Questions. It is emotional, it is uncontrolled. Now imagine something different. You take a deep breath. You look at the person, smile gently and say, "Excuse me, I think I was in line before you." Calm. Questions. Clear, respectful. That is a response. It comes from awareness, not from anger. It comes from wisdom, not from wounded pride. This is exactly how life tests us when someone hurts us. Questions. When a person says something that touches your deepest insecurity, the emotional part of you wants to fire back. You want to prove a point. You want to win the argument. Questions. You want to show them that you are not weak. But here is the beautiful irony. The moment you react emotionally, you give them control over you. They press a button and you dance to their tune. Questions. Let me give you a very common daily life example. You send a message to someone you care about. You wait. 5 minutes pass, 10 minutes pass. 1 hour passes. Suddenly, questions. Your mind becomes a movie director. You create stories. They are ignoring me. They don't care anymore. I am not important. And then, driven by this emotional storm, questions. You send another message, and another, and maybe a long paragraph explaining how hurt you are. Later, you find out they were in a meeting or their phone battery had died. Questions. Now look at this moment with honesty. Was the pain real? Yes. But was the reaction necessary? No. If you had paused, breathed, and responded instead of reacting, you would have protected your peace. Questions. Reacting emotionally is like throwing a glass of water on a fire. It feels like you are doing something, but often it only makes more smoke. Responding wisely is like turning off the gas. Quiet. Questions. Effective, powerful. There is a small habit you can practice. The moment you feel triggered, don't speak, don't type, don't post. Just pause. Even if it is for 10 seconds. In those 10 seconds, questions, ask yourself one simple question. What would the best version of me do right now? Not the angriest version, not the most hurt version, the best version. Let me tell you. Questions. This question alone can save you from so many regrets. Think about the last time you reacted in anger. Maybe you raised your voice at a loved one. Questions. Maybe you sent a message you later wished you could delete. Maybe you walked away from a situation in frustration. Did it bring peace afterward? Or did it leave behind a heavy feeling in your chest? Questions. A silent regret that stayed with you longer than the actual problem. Wisdom works differently. Wisdom may not give you the satisfaction of winning in the moment. Questions. But it gives you the peace of sleeping well at night. Here is another simple example. Imagine someone at work takes credit for your idea. The emotional reaction is to confront them loudly. Questions. Complain to everyone or even insult them. But a wise response is to document your work, speak calmly to your manager, and continue performing with excellence. One path creates noise. Questions. The other creates respect. When you respond wisely, something beautiful happens. You start becoming a person who cannot be easily shaken. People may try to provoke you. Questions. But they will slowly realize that you are not a mirror reflecting their chaos. You are a lake reflecting calm. And let me tell you something very real. It is not easy. Reacting is natural. Questions. Responding is a practice. Reacting is the voice of the ego. Responding is the voice of the soul. Every day, life will give you small tests. A rude driver on the road. Questions. A sarcastic comment from a colleague. A delayed reply from someone you care about. These are not just annoyances. These are training sessions. Each moment is asking you, do you want to be powerful? Questions. Or do you want to be impulsive? Because true power is not in how loudly you can shout. It is in how deeply you can stay calm. So the next time someone hurts you, questions. Don't rush to show them your pain. Don't rush to prove your point. Pause. Breathe. Choose your words like you choose your clothes for an important day. With care, with intention, with self-respect. Questions. When you respond instead of react, you don't just protect your dignity, you elevate it. And slowly, quietly, beautifully, you become someone who is not controlled by situations, but guided by wisdom. Questions. That, my friends, is how you turn everyday moments into a powerful journey of inner strength. Questions. Let me start with a moment we have all lived. You walk into a room where you can feel the tension in the air. Someone has said something about you. You don't know exactly what. Questions, but you can sense it in the sideways glances, in the sudden quiet when you arrive, in the way conversations change tone. Your heart wants to speak. Your mind starts preparing a defense speech. Questions. Your ego says something. Don't let them think you are weak. And in that moment, silence feels like losing. But let me tell you something very gentle and very powerful. Questions. Silence is not losing. Silence is choosing. Think about the ocean. It does not shout. It does not explain itself. It does not chase every wave that rises. And yet, questions. It holds more depth than anything around it. That is what silence is meant to be in our lives. Not emptiness. Depth. In daily life, we often believe that if we don't respond immediately, questions, people will misunderstand us. If we don't defend ourselves, they will think they are right. If we don't speak, our voice will disappear. But the truth is, not every situation deserves your words. Questions. Some situations deserve your calm. Let me give you a simple example. You post something on social media. It could be a photo, a thought, or an achievement. Someone comments something negative. Questions. The emotional part of you wants to reply instantly. You want to correct them. You want to show them they are wrong. You want to win. But imagine this. You choose not to reply. You close the app. Questions. You go back to living your life. You meet your friends. You laugh, you work on your goals. That comment stays on the screen, but you move on in the real world. Who is really free in that moment? Questions. The one trapped in a comment thread, or the one enjoying their evening tea with a peaceful mind? Silence is not the absence of words. It is the presence of self-control. Questions. There is a beautiful strength in not explaining yourself to everyone. You don't need to attend every argument you are invited to. You don't need to clarify every misunderstanding. Questions. Some people are not looking for understanding. They are looking for a reaction. And when you don't give them that reaction, something interesting happens. The noise stops. Questions. Think about a child who is throwing a tantrum in a store. If everyone gathers around, watches, and reacts, the drama continues. But when the parent calmly holds the child's hand and walks away, questions, the tantrum slowly loses its stage. In many ways, adults are the same. Attention fuels conflict. Silence starves it. Let me tell you something honest. Silence is not easy. When you are hurt, questions, words feel like medicine. You think if you just say the right thing, the pain will go away. But often, words spoken in pain become weapons we later wish we could take back. Questions. Have you ever sent a message late at night, driven by emotion, and then read it the next morning with regret? You think, I should have waited. Questions. I should have slept on it. That regret is your wisdom arriving late. Silence allows wisdom to arrive on time. There is another daily example we all know. Imagine you are in a family gathering. Questions. A relative makes a sarcastic comment about your life, your job, or your choices. Everyone looks at you. The room waits for your response. This is the moment where silence can feel heavy. Questions. But imagine you smile gently, take a sip of water, and change the topic. In that simple act, you send a powerful message. You say, I am bigger than this moment. Questions. I don't need to prove myself here. And let me tell you something beautiful. The strongest people in the room are rarely the loudest. They are often the calmest. Silence gives you space. Questions to think, space to feel, space to heal. When you fill every moment with words, you don't leave room for clarity. But when you allow silence, you allow your mind to settle. Questions. like dust in a glass of water. Slowly, everything becomes clear. This does not mean you should never speak. Silence is not about suppressing your voice. It is about choosing the right moment to use it. Questions. A wise person knows when to speak and when to let the moment pass. Think of silence as a bridge between your emotion and your action. It is the space where anger turns into understanding. Questions. Where hurt turns into strength. Where confusion turns into clarity. There is a deep confidence in being able to sit quietly in a room and not feel the need to impress, defend, or perform. Questions. That confidence says, I know who I am. I don't need to announce it. So the next time someone hurts you, challenges you, or tries to provoke you, try this. Don't rush to reply. Questions. Don't rush to explain. Just pause. Let the moment breathe. Let your heart settle. Let your mind become still. And you will notice something very powerful. In that silence, questions, you will hear your own voice more clearly than ever before. That is not weakness. That is strength in its most peaceful, most dignified form. Questions. Let me take you to a moment we have all experienced. Someone hurts you. Maybe they leave you. Maybe they betray your trust. Maybe they speak words that stay in your mind longer than you want them to. Questions. And in that moment, a quiet voice inside you whispers, they should feel what I feel. That voice is not evil. It is human. It is the part of us that wants balance, fairness, and justice. Questions. But often what we call justice becomes something else. It becomes revenge. Revenge feels powerful at first. It gives you the illusion that you are taking control back. Questions. You imagine the look on their face when they realize what they lost. You picture them feeling regret, pain, or jealousy when they see you doing something better. And in that imagination, questions, there is a small, sweet satisfaction. But let me ask you something very gently. In all those moments of planning, imagining, and hoping they notice who is still living in your mind, not you, them. Questions. That is why growth is better than revenge. Because revenge keeps you tied to the past, and growth carries you into the future. Think about a very simple daily life example. Questions. Someone at work undermines you in front of others. The emotional reaction is to wait for your chance to embarrass them back. You watch for their mistake. You keep mental notes. Questions. You carry that bitterness into every meeting. Weeks pass, months pass, and that person is still sitting in your head rent-free. Now imagine a different path. Questions. You decide to focus on improving your skills. You take an extra course. You stay late to learn something new. You prepare better presentations. Slowly, questions. Your work starts speaking louder than any argument ever could. One day, you are the one being trusted with bigger responsibilities. And that person, they fade into the background of your story. Questions. That is growth, quiet, consistent, powerful. Revenge is loud. It wants an audience. It wants applause. Growth does not need anyone to watch. It is like planting a seed. You water it every day. Questions. Even when no one is clapping for you. And one day it becomes a tree that gives shade, fruit, and shelter. By then, you don't even remember who threw the stone at the sea. Questions. Let me give you another example we all understand. A relationship ends, you are hurt, you feel replaced, you feel forgotten. The idea of revenge shows up in small ways. Questions. Posting pictures to make them jealous, letting mutual friends know how well you are doing, dropping hints about your amazing new life. On the surface, it looks like confidence. But deep down, questions. There is still a string attached to them. Now imagine choosing growth instead. You start waking up earlier. You go for walks. You read books that help you understand yourself better. Questions. You reconnect with old hobbies. You spend time with people who make you laugh without asking for anything in return. Slowly, your days become fuller. Your nights become calmer. And one day, questions. You realize something surprising. You didn't win against them. You simply move beyond them. That is a much bigger victory. Revenge wants to close a chapter with a bang. Questions. Growth wants to start a new book. There is a beautiful truth about life. The person who hurt you is not your teacher. The situation is, the pain is. If you allow it. Questions. Every hurt can show you where you need to grow. Maybe it teaches you boundaries. Maybe it teaches you self-respect. Maybe it teaches you patience. Or maybe it teaches you how strong you really are. Questions. When you choose growth, you turn wounds into wisdom. Let me tell you something honest. People who seek revenge often think they are moving forward. Questions. But they are actually walking in circles around the same moment. People who choose growth may move slowly at first, but they move in a straight line toward a better version of themselves. Questions. Think of a gym. If someone insults your body, you have two choices. You can insult them back, or you can start showing up for yourself. The first option gives you a moment of relief. Questions. The second option gives you a lifetime of confidence. And here is the beautiful part. When you grow, the world responds differently to you. Opportunities find you. New people enter your life. Questions. New perspectives open up. Your energy changes. And in that new world, the person who once hurt you often no longer fits. Growth does not need to announce itself. It reveals itself in the way you speak. Questions. The way you walk, the way you choose peace over chaos. It shows in how you no longer chase validation, but attract respect. So the next time you feel that familiar pull of revenge, pause for a moment. Questions. Ask yourself, do I want to spend my energy trying to teach someone a lesson? Or do I want to use this energy to become someone I am proud of? Because one path keeps you looking back. Questions. The other path invites you to look ahead. And let me leave you with this gentle reminder. The most powerful message you can send to someone who hurt you is not, look what you did. It is, questions. Look what I became. That message doesn't need words. It is written in your life, in your peace, and in your progress. Questions. Let me ask you something very simple but very deep. When you wake up in the morning and look in the mirror, who decides your value? Is it the number of messages on your phone? The likes on your photo? Questions. The praise from your boss? Or the approval of someone who once chose to walk away? Most of us don't realize it, but we often hand over the remote control of our self-worth to other people. Questions. We wait for them to press the "you are enough" button. And on the days they don't, we feel small, invisible, and unsure. Let me take you to a daily life moment. Questions. You send a message to someone you care about. You put thought into every word. You press send, and then you wait. The phone stays silent. Minutes feel like hours. In that waiting, questions. Your mind starts asking dangerous questions. Did I say something wrong? Am I boring? Do I matter to them? Suddenly, your worth feels like it is hanging on a blue tick. Questions. But let me tell you something very gentle and very powerful. A delayed reply cannot reduce the value of a human soul. Think about a diamond. If you put it in a drawer and forget about it for a year, questions, does it become less valuable? No. Its worth does not change because no one is looking at it. In the same way, your worth does not rise and fall based on who notices you and who doesn't. Questions. We often grow up believing that being chosen means being valuable. Chosen by friends, chosen by a partner, chosen by a company, chosen by society. And while being chosen feels good, questions. It is not the source of your value. It is just a reflection of someone else's preference. Let me give you another simple example. Imagine you walk into a room and you greet everyone with a smile. Questions. Some people smile back, some are busy, some don't notice. When someone doesn't respond, do you suddenly stop being a kind person? No. Your kindness still exists. Questions. It didn't disappear just because it wasn't acknowledged. In the same way, your worth exists even when it is not applauded. Questions. There is a quiet confidence that comes when you stop trying to convince people that you matter. You start living from a place of, I know who I am, and that changes everything. Questions. You stop chasing attention. You stop explaining your choices. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's expectations. Let me tell you something honest. The moment you seek validation, questions, you give power away. You say, you get to decide how I feel about myself today. And that is a heavy burden to place on another human being. Think about your work. You do your best on a project. Questions. You put in long hours. You give it your heart. The day it is presented, maybe your manager doesn't praise it. Maybe they move on to the next thing. In that moment, it is easy to feel invisible. Questions. But ask yourself this. Did the effort you put in disappear just because it wasn't mentioned? Did the skill you developed vanish? No. It is still within you. It is still growing. Questions. Validation is like dessert. It is sweet, it is enjoyable, but it cannot be your main meal. Your main meal has to be self-respect. There is a beautiful shift that happens when you stop asking questions. Do they see my value? And start asking, am I honoring my value? Are you speaking kindly to yourself? Are you setting boundaries that protect your peace? Questions. Are you choosing things that align with who you truly are, not just what will impress others? Let me tell you a small truth about life. People will misunderstand you. They will underestimate you. Questions. They will sometimes walk away without explanation. If your worth depends on their understanding, you will always feel shaky. But if your worth is rooted in your own awareness, you will feel steady. Questions. Even in the storm, think about a tree. It does not ask the birds to stay. It does not beg the wind to be gentle. It focuses on growing its roots deeper into the ground. And because of that, questions, it can stand through seasons. In the same way, when you root your worth within yourself, you become strong in a very quiet way. You start choosing relationships where you are respected, questions, not just tolerated. You start saying no without guilt. You start walking away from situations that make you feel small. Not because you are angry, but because you are aware. Questions. And here is the beautiful irony. The moment you stop trying to prove your worth, people start noticing it. Confidence is not loud, it is calm. Questions. It is the way you sit in a room without needing to impress. It is the way you speak without needing to convince. It is the way you leave without needing to explain. Questions. So the next time you feel that familiar itch of wanting to be seen, heard, or chosen, place a hand on your heart and remind yourself gently, I am already enough. Questions. I don't need permission to matter. But because the most powerful validation you will ever receive is not from a message, a compliment, or an applause. It is the quiet questions. Steady voice inside you that says, I know my worth, even when the world forgets to say it out loud. Questions. Let me take you to a moment we all know too well. You walk into a place you used to go with someone who is no longer part of your life. The same road, the same coffee. Questions. The same song playing in the background, and suddenly your heart feels heavier. You remember the laughter, the promises, the version of yourself you were when they were there. In that moment, questions. A quiet thought appears, I can't be happy here without them. But let me tell you something very gentle and very strong. The day you discover that you can smile without their presence, questions. You unlock a power you didn't know you had. We often connect our happiness to people. We say, see, make me happy. And while love and connection can add color to our lives, questions. Happiness was never meant to be borrowed. It was meant to be built within. Think about a simple daily example. Questions. You are waiting for a call or a message from someone who used to be a big part of your world. Your phone lights up, and for a second, your heart jumps. It's not them. And just like that, questions, your mood drops. Now ask yourself honestly in that moment, who is controlling your happiness? Not the person, the expectation. Now imagine a different scene. You are walking in the evening. Questions. The sky is painted in soft orange and pink. A cool breeze touches your face. You buy yourself a cup of tea and sit quietly watching people pass by. For a few minutes you feel calm. You feel present. Questions. You feel okay. In that moment you are not waiting for anyone. You are simply living. That is happiness without them. And it is powerful because it is free. Questions. There is a beautiful strength in realizing that your joy does not collapse when someone leaves. Your world does not end when someone chooses a different path. Questions. Your story does not stop when a chapter closes. It simply turns the page. Let me tell you something honest. When someone hurts you or walks away, a part of you wants them to see your pain. Questions. You want them to know what they lost. You want them to feel the absence the way you do. That desire is human. But here is the quiet truth. The moment you start building a life that feels full. Questions. Even without them, you stop needing their recognition. Imagine two people who go through a breakup. One keeps checking the other's social media, looking for signs of regret, sadness, or loneliness. Questions. The other starts exploring new interests. Maybe they join a class. Maybe they travel. Maybe they reconnect with old friends. Slowly, their days fill up with new experiences. The laughter comes back. Questions. Not because someone returned, but because life expanded. Now tell me who is truly moving forward. Happiness without them is not about showing the world how fine you are. Questions. It is not about pretending you don't care. It is about genuinely discovering parts of yourself that were waiting to breathe. Let me give you another daily life example. Questions. Think about a child learning to ride a bicycle. At first, they need someone to hold the back of the seat. They feel safe. They feel supported. And then one day, the person lets go. The child wobbles. Questions. They panic. They almost fall. But then something magical happens. They realize they are balancing on their own. That moment is scary, but it is also empowering. In the same way, questions. When someone who once held your happiness lets go, you wobble. You feel lost. You feel unsure. But if you keep moving, you discover your own balance. Questions. There is a special kind of confidence that comes from enjoying your own company. When you can sit alone in a room and not feel lonely. When you can go for a walk without wishing someone was beside you. Questions. When you can celebrate small wins without needing someone else to clap first. This doesn't mean you stop valuing relationships. It means you stop depending on them for your emotional survival. Questions. Let me tell you something beautiful. When you are happy on your own, the people who enter your life don't come to complete you. They come to share with you. Questions. And that changes the quality of your connections. Happiness without them also changes how you are seen. Not because you are trying to prove anything, but because peace has a presence. Questions. When you walk into a room with a calm heart and a gentle smile, people can feel it. They may not know your story. They may not know what you've been through. Questions. But they can sense that you are not carrying old chains anymore. And here is the most powerful part. When someone who once hurt you sees you genuinely at ease, not bitter, not desperate, not stuck. Questions. But simply living, something shifts. You are no longer a chapter in their story. You have become the author of your own. So the next time you feel that quiet itch of missing someone, don't fight it. Questions. Let it pass through you like a wave, and then gently turn back to your own life, your dreams, your people, your small moments of joy. Questions. Because the most powerful kind of happiness is not the one that depends on someone staying. It is the one that stays even when they leave.